Can you imagine somebody watching our stuff right now is going to be inspired to do something like that, and they can take it to a whole other level?
I hope so.
I think the best way to describe it now is like almost like being a recruiter, recruiting talent.
My objective walking out of that interview was to ensure that I asked the questions that I know the community wants to hear asked, right?
Wow, that's not the answer I was expecting. You actually got me genuinely laughing right now. Is $1,000 in one card worth more than $1,000 in 20 cards?
Man, that's tough. It depends on what's your play.
What's up, everybody? This is FD. What's the play? And today I want to bring in, he's here right now. We have EJ on Dynasty mode. I've been wanting to talk to him for quite a while now, and he's here today. He's fresh off his trip from Dallas, and we're going to bring him in. What's up, Dynasty?
Going on? FD, we rolling, bro.
Yes, sir. We are rolling. How you doing today?
Man, a little fatigued, but man, finally got some energy from the long few weeks of traveling. I actually head back on the road in a few days, but here back in the Dynasty compound in Las Vegas, California.
All right.
California, Nevada. So, man, we're excited.
You're here so much, man. You're here all the time.
I'm here. Not too much. I'm in back home in Southern California. Way too much. I don't even know why I moved here, but it's all good, guys.
It's all good. So now you're fresh off Dallas. Tell us about, because I didn't get a chance to go, and you're fresh off Atlanta because you went to Atlanta.
Yep.
Tell us about those shows. How were they?
Oh man, well, first off, Atlanta was definitely a pretty cool show. I always like to say, and amongst my group of guys, that Atlanta is definitely just one of those shows that is somewhat of a collision. It's a culture collision, right? So it's a mix of both cards. It's a mix of both sneakers and lifestyle, and of course there's the basketball game going on. But one of the things that I like to say is I make a show a great show, regardless of what it is. So on a dealing standpoint, it was definitely one of the better shows that we've had. And if we're talking about on a number standpoint, it definitely was that. So, man, and I love going to these shows because beyond the money standpoint, it's a networking opportunity for me, and beyond just going off to different shows locally in Southern California as well as locally in the West Coast. It's a fresh start being able to go to a show in Atlanta. So kudos to Prism God and Wiz and all the homies out there that are doing the show out in Atlanta. And it's really cool to see all the homies out in all the circuits. And then of course, Dallas is this is actually my 6th time going to Dallas, and being able to see all of the guys from SoCal, because back in the day, a year ago, my first Dallas show, I didn't know anybody.
Okay.
And being able to bring in the Ricky, the Collectors, the Showtime guys, and guys like that who are usually well-known guys in Southern California, but aren't necessarily known on a national circuit, and having them experience a national light show like the Dallas Card Show, it's incredible to see. And also the network, and being able to see the network, my personal network that I've gotten to know throughout the year, and being able to it's even surreal to me because last year my first Dallas show was in March of 2021, and I didn't know anybody, right? So I didn't know who to do deals with, and
I know that feeling.
Yeah, and I'm sure you know the feeling, brother. So being able to have that, and both of us are pretty extroverts, right? Like we love to talk.
Yeah, I love talking to people, man.
Yeah, we love to talk to people. There was a little bit of a starstruck type of thing, seeing all the YouTubers who, it's funny now, some of the YouTubers are good friends of mine, including yourself. At the time in March of last year, I was a little starstruck, and now rolling up to a couple days ago, or the week of the Dallas Card Show, I pretty much was dabbing everybody I knew, and it was really cool, really humbling to see the progression and the consistency of being a part of the hobby. So definitely blessed. And again, on a number standpoint, Dallas was actually the best number sales standpoint for us this past Dallas show.
Okay. So let's go back through like your history collecting, right? A lot of people may not know your background. How did you start collecting? At what age, and what influenced you to? Because most of us got influenced by something to start collecting sports cards.
Right. Well, it's so funny because I have the same somewhat story as everyone else when LeBron was a high schooler and
Okay.
la 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 la, that whole gist. But it was actually 2000 and I'm sorry, it was actually 2000. I grew up in Southern California. I grew up all over the place. Shouts out divorced parenting. But my dad lived in Carson, California at the time. Shouts out to everyone in Carson. And he had a neighbor, and it was a drinking buddy of his, and he was so bullish about a young guy named Kobe Bryant. And at the time, Kobe was just off of his first championship with the Los Angeles Lakers, the iconic photo of him and Shaq hugging each other out.
Yep.
And I remember him showing his briefcase, and now it's pretty common to see guys with the gun cases from Harbor Freight, so the
That's
Zion cases.
Those Harbor
right?
Freight cases are everywhere.
But back then, he actually converted a gun case into a card case of his, and inside the card case were all these rare Kobe's. And he actually reminds me of Miguel Doman 824, a good friend of mine in the hobby, who has one of the most absurd Kobe collections you will ever see. And I remember as a kid thinking, man, one day I'm gonna when I have my own set of money and own set of funds, I'll be able to buy my Kobe collection. And at the time, I was only like 8 years old.
Okay.
And of course, when LeBron came out, the hype of LeBron happened. FD, I don't know how long you've been in the game, but in 2002, right when LeBron announced he was going to go straight to the league, man, the Upper Deck contract, right when he hit the pen, the print. The print was, it was all like he had St. Vincent St. Mary's cards, and believe it or not, man, the first few players I PC'd were Baron Davis and Jason Richardson, and I actually have a Jason Richardson card that I was really hyped to pick up in Dallas, and it's also one of the reasons why I love going to national shows is to pick up cards that you don't really see back home, and I was able to pick up this sick Jason Richardson patch. Numbered out of 99, and
what, you got 4 colors, 3 colors there?
Yeah, it's dude, and those old Warriors jerseys were sick, man. And Jason Richardson, a back-to-back slam dunk champion, dude, he was sick, and he was definitely one of my favorite players. And then B Diddy, from LA, man, I was a young chunky point guard, so B Diddy was my guy, man. And it's funny because I actually got to meet him years back, and he was such a cool guy, and I told him a little bit about how I used to collect his cards and things like that. So yeah, those were my kind of my in the sports card realm. And of course I was back and forth high school, messing with girls and things like that, man. Like you can't really show off your cards. So that got dented a little bit. And then 2013, my good buddy Mike got me back into it. And then luckily in 2019, I just had this inclination that I should probably go ham on some Kobe cards. And of course, that's how it started for me.
Okay. All right, well, cool. So big Kobe collector, right?
Big time.
Yeah, it was very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Man. So when you're out traveling and you go from market to market, what differences do you see by market? And are people collecting differently? Are there different trends that you notice? What do you come back with when you come off the road?
Well, it's definitely, I will say this, parking into Southern California, I believe Southern California is the best market for sports cards. It's bar none. And as my business partner, Rob from Burbank, says all the time, Burbank's the epicenter of the sports card realm. And I've taken it a step further. And I said that Southern California is the epicenter of the sports card market. I mean, we have shows every week. There's literally 2 shows, 3 shows happening at the same weekend. And, FD's gas bill is up now, because he got to go.
And we try to hit them all.
G's storage is struggling, because there's so much content.
And we're charging in between.
Right.
We're charging.
That's why I had to get FD a media pass at our show, just to make sure my guy was taken care of. But no, I mean, all joking aside, there's so much going on in Southern California. There's so much transactions going on that we both don't even see, right? Whether high end, mid end, low end. And that's something that I take a lot of pride in Southern California. Now, if we're talking about a national standpoint, there's definitely a lot more plays that's beyond just checking comps, right? So when you're dealing with the national scale of things, you're talking about prospecting. You're talking about investing. There are guys that are willing to pay 80 to 90%, depending on the card, because they're very bullish on the card. And they may be located in Wisconsin. They may be located in a smaller market, just because of the fact that they don't have a Southern California, they don't have a Burbank that cashes out folks. They don't have local shows that they could go to on a weekly basis to do transactions. So they're willing to make that scale. And of course, there's guys that are a little bit too high, and there's guys that are very fair. On the most cases, there's definitely a lot of deals to be made. And the reason why I like to go to shows is definitely to build that transactional relationship that's beyond just cards, right? So if we're talking about just this one card and then I ship out a card to FD and then we call it a day and that's it. No, you're talking about, hey, I know that FD is he's a Jordan Fleer buyer, and that in my head, now if I have 2 Fleer Jordans, I'm going to go to FD because he pays best, right? So one of the things that I like to say, especially on the world of dealing, is you already want to buy a card for the next customer if you're a dealer. So now if I take off my hat and I become a collector, you're going to these national like shows to be able to find cards that you cannot find locally.
True. Very true. So when you're out talking to people, when you're doing a negotiation process, I know you said a little bit about checking comps, things like that. Do you feel like your negotiation process is different, let's say in LA, than it would be in Dallas or Chicago or New Jersey or anything like that?
Not really. Now I'll joke and I'll be humble, as I'm not going to even front, man. I mean, my first Dallas show setting up, I can't lie, I took a couple L's just because I was a little bit like, oh man, like we're in Dallas now. We're not at, Southern California. And, but I had to kind of, wake up and one of the biggest things I heard, again, I come from a basketball background, so never change your game for anybody. And I've always believed that, and especially coming, I played basketball growing up, played in the AAU circuit as a point guard, and realizing that, hey man, they still got 10 toes. They got the same 10 toes as you, and no matter what kind of card, no matter what kind of bankroll they got, they're still gonna have that same talk. And my pops would always say this was they always got the same 10 toes. And I've always had that in my head. I've always had that in my head. So
it's very true.
And I
put their hands on just like you, and they make decisions just like you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. So, and they'll make the same mistakes as you. And I think that's the beauty of it, is in the mix of negotiation, both parties should technically win, right? Especially in the world of dealing in sports cards. And I think the biggest thing that I like to do is being able to understand the actual value and trajectory of a card. And again, it's all opinionated, right? But no,
that's the fun part to me.
That's definitely the fun part, because there's guys that just don't like LeBron for whatever reason, right? So I like to be those guys, and I like LeBron. So I like dealing with guys that don't like LeBron, because it's a lot easier to close out a deal. Now, when you go back to SoCal, LeBron, of course, is our best player. So it's a lot harder to strike into deals. And that's another thing, is when you go to these national shows, Kobe isn't even in the top 5, top 10 with some of these guys. So you're able to close out deals with Kobe and take it back home. Now, shameless plug to my guy, Kai, Card Guru, who's also another big Kobe guy. It's a lot harder to close out deals with Kai because he's a Kobe guy. So it's things like that that makes a huge difference. Now, when it comes to dealing, of course, you're going to have to be on top of your game. Make sure that you not just read, the things I see recently is guys are very comp heavy. They're very much so just looking at the comp and things like that. What you need to do is look at the overall trajectory of the market. And especially with in the world of basketball cards, is you're talking about a volatility of the market, and not being able to just, I don't know, the last comp was $1,500. I'm like, dude, that comp was like in September. No,
the whole market may have changed.
Perfect examples, John.
In 8 weeks, the whole market could change.
Right. Perfect examples, John Morant. I've been buying John Morant since September, and I've been sadly moving him as a dealer literally every show. So the past Atlanta show was a perfect example. I bought 6 high-end John Morant cards. We're talking some big RPA stuff, FD, and guess what I was doing? I was rolling the mess out of John Morant.
Yeah.
And I wish I pumped the brakes and kept a couple, but now that market has shipped, and of course
totally.
the man has, and in my head, he's definitely going to be one, if not the face of the league in the coming years, barring any injury, knock on wood. So, man, I mean, being able to see that, and of course, guys were hitting me with the comps and things like that. And again, you need to use comps. Comps is definitely a valuable play when it comes to understanding the value of a piece or a card. But when it comes to a player like Steph Curry or John Morant, their comps are going like this. Yes. Yeah. So to be able to, and I think one of the biggest things that I take pride in is I grew my brand enough to where it's a very trustworthy brand. So I'll be able to look at a case, and somebody might be undervaluing a certain player. So I'll pick up a player out of their showcase and I'll put it on my showcase. And of course, I'll put my dollars of what I personally think it's worth. And it definitely has worked out pretty well for us.
So let's go back. You talking about childhood and coming up. Well, tell us more about playing basketball and running point.
So it may not look like it, but about 65 pounds ago, I was a solid point guard. Now I'm not going to lie to you, FD. My and some of these other guys that cap, I don't think I could no longer hold myself on the court. I might need to lose some weight. I don't think I could do runs at Premier at any time.
I tell people all the time, we've all changed over time.
Yeah, we've all changed, man. We've all changed. I like to say I know when it was time to hang it up, man. So.
Okay.
So when it came to the game of basketball, man, my father played professionally in the Philippines. My uncle did as well. Basketball is definitely in our blood. My cousin's out there right now, and man, I had a great. Actually, my first love was baseball, and I was a big Griffey fan. I was a big Mark McGwire fan. Long story short, my father definitely instilled the game into me, and I was playing basketball, and about the end of 7th grade into 8th grade, I went from about this chubby 5'1" kid to nearly 5'9", 5'10", and of course I already knew the game, and through my father and being able to play the point guard position in the city of Long Beach, and of course being able to play AAU ball with some notable guys that are now in the league or played in the league, and in high school played really well, played in the circuits really well enough to let me play a little bit further out in the Philippines in college, and then I came back home, and for some personal reasons, and I was supposed to go back, and I never went back. So up until then, man, I've been an entrepreneur for about 10 plus years. This year in August will be my 11th year as an entrepreneur. So
congratulations.
So man, it's Rick Ross once said in a Kanye song, "Devil in a new dress, man, never tied a ball in, so it's on to the next sport." And I went from the game of basketball to the game of entrepreneurship, and I became an entrepreneur when it was not cool. When it was called you didn't have a job. Now you got Gary Vee, and you got all these guys that are are entrepreneurs, and now it's cool and it's a cool thing. But yeah, man, I came from a basketball background, and it's funny, man, because on the entrepreneurship game, I'd like to say I'm a point guard in my various businesses, and I like to assist different folks on how to properly get the job done. So man, it hasn't really changed, man. It's just the food is better, and the diet is worse, but we'll be better in that in the next.
Well, once you go out and have a successful day, right? You want to celebrate.
Oh man, of course, for those of y'all that know me very well, after a show, man, we got to eat, man. We got to eat, bro. So there's no other option, brother. After trade night at Average Joe's on Wednesdays, man, I'll be back there this Wednesday, and of course Portillo is our hub after the show. And man,
Portillo's a Chicago base.
Yeah, I know you're from Chicago, right, FD?
Yeah.
FD, you could probably test me on some Chicago stuff. I worked with Nike for about 4 years on a marketing play, primarily in grassroots basketball, and I know a little bit about Chicago basketball. I actually in high school we played. Who did we play? We played Morgan Park my freshman year of high school.
Morgan Park, huh?
And then we played Simeon. This was about 2 years after Derrick Rose. So yeah, man, it was a pretty and the thing is, I love is that I really do believe that everybody in Chicago can play, even even the regular even the regular Joes, man. I think
people walking down the street, man, can play basketball, football, baseball. It's a very sport heavy city, along with other cities, but Chicago has that in it.
Yep.
And Simeon is a school that I played Simeon. I went to Morgan Park.
Did you really?
Yeah,
wow.
And I played Simeon in football, and they just put out players, no matter if it's basketball, football, whatever. So,
yeah. Simeon is a. I don't know if they're still a power. Are they still a powerhouse? But
they're still under consideration.
Yeah, I know.
Morgan has a down year or down 2 years, they're coming back third and fourth.
Yeah, I know. Morgan Park has always been that team, has always been that school. So, man, it's and you can shout out Morgan Park in the hobby now. That's really cool. So, yeah, man, I know
that you're talking about that. I would have never thought you'd have brought up the name of that school.
There's guys that say they can hoop, man. And I'm very careful with talking about hoops with folks in the hobby, man, because when it comes time to the game of basketball, I lived it, man. And shouts out Kevin Doy, Doy Cards with Boosted, man. He's one of the real hoopers in the game. There's guys that talk the talk, man, but there's not a lot of guys that will walk the walk with a trajectory of history. So
now did you play ball when you were in Atlanta? Did you go when you went to the show?
No, dude. I haven't played ball since 2020. I actually ruptured my Achilles in 2020. So man, I'm done, man. My wife would kill me. She's in the other room right now.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
people ask me now too when I'm out and about. Hey man, you want to run a pickup game? Like, no, I
can't do it, man. I can't. It's so funny, man, because my dad, who's 60 plus years old, he's still got a 6-pack. If you guys see my pops in the shows, at the local card shows, my dad is healthy as a mother. Man, this guy, he still runs hoops, and I never understood his whenever we're playing somewhere and things like that, he would never really run unless it's some folks that really know how to play basketball. So I never really understood that until now. So
I can respect that in him, because if you play with people that know how to play, you have a less probability of getting hurt.
Yes, exactly. And health is wealth in the game of life. And now I know why, man. Yeah, man. For those of y'all that are
still, I'll be looking for him. I haven't met him before.
I'll probably have my dad soon. He was in the Philippines for about 2 months for the winter, but he's back here, and then he usually does the local shows with me. Maybe he'll pop up at Premiere this Saturday. We'll see.
All right, I'll be there Saturday.
There you go, man. You can play one-on-one with him.
Yeah. So now, what advice would you give someone that wants to start setting up? They've been in the hobby for a while. They want to start setting up a table at a show. What advice would you give them?
Well, it's the same as everything else, man. Just do it. And not everybody is a vendor. I'll be honest with you, man. Like when I run shows and with the Newport show and things like that, I don't hold it against anybody that doesn't want to set up at my show, because me personally, I know how it is. I'm more of a walker than I am a vendor, but I still vendor due to the fact that there are better deals when you're a vendor, right? That's just the nature of it. Folks come to you. But the thing is, with folks that have never vendored or have never even tried, just try it a few shows. Worst case, bring the family out. It's always a good time, right? So regardless of the customer base, regardless of who it is, being able to try and being able to just put your cards out there and lay them out. And I think one of the biggest advice I can give you is have a showcase with a small little lock, because, there's guys out there, you just don't know, man. I mean, I see guys that have the tables and just lay out the cards. And again, man, we're dealing with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of cards, but to somebody, a $20 card means everything to them. And I've always stressed that enough, especially with the young guys, man. Go to Hobby Lobby, get those little shadow box cases, and then of course when you start making some bread, then invest up to some nice showcases that the bigger juggernauts use, like Flipstar. So
Flipstar always set up. Yeah,
Flipstar, man. That guy, he a crazy fellow, man. This man,
I like his style, man.
Yeah, man. And that's another thing too. A great example is Pat. And have a niche. My niche is Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, 90s and 2000s, because that's what I know. right? I was in Dallas, and I don't know if the guy's tuning in. I don't think he's going to tune in, man. But I had a little back and forth with a guy who was very ultra modern heavy. You could tell he's a new guy in the industry with some money, and he had a pretty crazy LaMelo Ball out of 10 mosaic, and man, I love LaMelo. You look, I'm from SoCal, so I've seen LaMelo actually in 9th grade when they played against Bishop Gorman, and the guy was about like 5'5", and he was
he was real short.
Balling. You know, and that's when Lonzo and LiAngelo were on the team, and even Big O were on the team. And in my opinion, that's the best high school team of all time. I don't care. That's the best high school of all time. That Chino Hills team, they went undefeated. But 5'5" LaMelo Ball, and I love LaMelo Ball. You know, and but again, I'm a Kobe guy. You know, so I had some LeBrons, I had some Kobes, and the guy was basically telling me that LaMelo was liquid, and I was like, well, so LeBron's not liquid. So he was getting a little offended. And again, that's one of the bigger things that I like to advise people is, be character first. Understand that not everybody's going to have the same mindset or respect towards a certain value of something as you. That's another thing, man, is just respect, dude, and being able to be a little bit more humble than usual when it comes time to these cards, because again, these are cards, but they're also financial commodities, and they're also worth something to some people. These are cards that folks have spent their hard-earned money on, and I think being able to, when the deal doesn't get done, it doesn't get done, right? Curator always says this, man. Shouts out Daniel. Gentleman's deal. I think I'm butchering that. Sorry, Daniel, but it's a gentleman's deal, and gentle and a women's deal, right, for all the ladies out there. But yeah, just having the respect, and then on the last play is definitely understand the value of being liquid, and understand the value of having cash on hand or PayPal on hand or whatever else you use, and being able to opportunity, understanding the value of getting opportunity. Nipsey Hussle, man, when opportunity meets preparation. So be prepared when you're doing these shows. Shouts out Johnny, LA Proper. It was definitely a smaller show than I anticipated, but it was definitely a great show for us, because it was definitely a show out in Hollywood, I believe. I think it was in Hollywood. But it's a great show on a sense that there's folks that were dealing, and there was a lot of folks that I didn't ever see set up that finally set up, and it was cool for them to see and them to experience the value of transaction and the value of networking, and these are basic business skills. Not a lot of people understand, guys. Like not everything is transactional. I'm not saying that you should take an L on a deal, but there's a value in networking. There's real true value in networking. I see guys that literally leave out deals for like $100, and I'm like, dude, that $100, and I've seen that time and time again, especially in Southern California. And I'm not gonna get into the conspiracies on who influenced that. But dude, this is universal, and I'm on my third industry as a young 30-year-old. And man, I see that time and time again, where the value of networking and relationships is everything in this game. I remember, it's funny, FD, I'm gonna put Pat on the blast here. I remember the first video and the first time I ever met you was Dion's show in the Bay Area. And I remember you guys had a card, and you and Pat were like dueling over $5. And I'm like, what in the world is wrong with you, Pat? Like, I was just like, look, I don't know who this FD guy is.
Pat, and that day, I was looking for a card that our 100 subscriber contest winner wanted. Sure. And when I met Pat, he was strong on his price, which I respect, right?
I respect that too, man.
But I wanted the person that won the 100 to know, I'm gonna try to get you some kind of value. So that's when we started talking about like $5-6.
Right. But it's so funny, because after the show, or after you posted the show, I watched the show, and I was like, Pat, you look like a cheap son of a gun, dude. Like that just doesn't. Oh my gosh! And of course, I'm not trying to tell folks like, "Hey, man, lose the deal." I'm just trying to say, like, "Yo, this guy's a YouTube channel," and at the time, dude, I think you only had 100 subscribers.
Yeah, I only had 100 subscribers.
And
it's 100.
It's so funny, man, because most of these guys, man, this is their first business, right? This is their first business. So they got a dub. But, sometimes when you cut the margins and just lock out a deal, those deals times 5. I have a perfect example. A year ago, actually, it was my first. It was a Vegas show. Shouts out Dakota, who's actually my neighbor here in Las Vegas. And Dakota, who runs a great show in Vegas, I met a guy named Jason, Sports Card Machine, and this guy was this quirky guy that was just like, "Hey, how much is this? Hey, this. How much for all?" And I'm just like, "Who is this guy?" Like, so I grabbed the stuff for him, and I'm like, of course, there's an old term that's out there for you young guys, dealer to dealer deal, right? So of course, what does that mean? That means you're gonna have to leave some meat on the bone for the guys, right? Whether that's 80%. And of course, these were cards that I realized, and instead of selling them one by one, it's better to just sell them as it is and take a couple $100 off the price tag. And I think our first deal was about $3,000 for about 5 cards. And now, had I sold all those cards, I would have probably made an extra $500. But that's $3,000 extra for me as liquid to keep going.
That's right.
Take profits, keep going. Roth Cards always says this: it's just take profits, keep going. Take profits, keep going. Whether it's a loss, take that loss that you get that money and reinvest, right? And I took that. I didn't take that as a loss. I won. I think I made about a good 20% of that 3,000. But it became a relationship. It became a relationship that I had with Jason.
I think that's the key that people miss.
Yes. And a lot of guys miss in this industry, and it's mostly the younger guys, right? But there's some guys that are a little bit on the older side too that I see, and they're the ones that are complaining, "Oh man, the show was a tough show for me." True. This and that. I'm like looking at the prices.
I hear this all the time. Somebody will say, "Well, I didn't sell a lot, or this didn't happen." And I know when I go by their table, what I see sometimes. Somebody else may see that.
Oh yeah, and I'm one to say this too. I'm a little bullish of things, and of course my price is maybe a little bit over the comp. But dude, if you come up to me and you're like, "Hey brother, if it's $1,000 price sticker," and be like, "Hey, look, the last comp is 900. Well, you do 850." More than likely, I'll probably do the 850. Just because you got to be fair in this game, right? And it's a transactional approach. But going back to what I was saying. That relationship I had with Jason has become one of the strongest relationships that I have in the industry. Being able to move cards to him, being able to take the profits, keep going, and for him, give him enough profit margin so that he could run his business. And until this day, man, I Jason, if you're watching this, man, he's one of my favorite guys. I always love doing deals with him. I know what cards to get for him now. I'm a big dual auto guy. Shouts out What's the Play? That's my current play. I love quad autos, triple autos, dual autos. I love all types of that. He was looking for a nice Magic Kareem dual combo, and I think his play was that the new Showtime series.
Yeah, Winning Time, right?
Yeah. Or Winning Time, right? So that was his play, and dude, I had very, very, very high margins on that card, and I bought 2 of those cards at around $3,000-$4,000 and moved it to him for profit. And man, I mean, things like that, relationships, those are big. Those are huge, man, in this industry. And I'd like to say strength in numbers, like the Warriors say, being able to do so many transactions and to a point where your brand is so ironclad that regardless of what it is. And of course, Dynasty mode's not perfect. I've had deals where I had to reverse them because I was a little bit too over the value, and there was a comp that showed up. So of course I gladly reversed the deal. And that's another thing, man. Be honest. Be honest with your stuff. And again, if you're high on things, just say it. Hey man, I'm a little high on that. I can't do it at that value. And if the guy has a little attitude about it, that's on his heart. And I think that's the beauty of it. Don't lie, man. Don't be, guys like that. And again, the hobby is so strong that word gets out there quick. Word gets out there quick. I've had, and I'm not gonna, name any names, man, but I had some guys that, I love them personally, but I had some guys that we had to ban because, because their names weren't the best at the industry and, in the hobby, locally in Southern California. So, we can't have them vendoring at our shows. And if you're banned at Newport Showcase, you are not vendoring at the Burbank Card Show. I'll tell you that. So being able to just be honest, man, and do good business. One of my best homies, man, who's one of the more successful guys in my life. He always said this: be good and be good, and good will be good and good will be you. And I remember, damn, that just struck to me, and I was just like, you know what, man, like, just be good. Don't be, you don't got to necessarily be great. You don't got to be excellent. You got to be anything. Just be good. My first Newport show, I've always just said this, man, let's just have a good show. There's going to be problems. There's going to be, FD, when you have a show or an episode, I'm sure you're telling G, hey, let's just get as much content as possible. It don't got to be the most perfect content, but let's just have good content. And that's what you do, bro. So, but yeah, man, the relationship value is everything, and just do good business. That's probably one of the biggest things that
it's very important. I just think that people think sometimes short term and now how long term things are. Even myself, I'm walking around like we set up at one show briefly, but I'm pretty much in front of a lot of people, talking to a lot of people. And there are some vendors that you can talk to at the last show, and the next time you see them, you already know how organized they're going to be, how they're going to be set up. I give a shout out to Ashley. I think Ashley was by you at the.
Oh yeah, my guy Ash Dream.
I give Ashley a shout out every time I see him, man. He is organized.
Yes, sir.
And he's always checking his comps. He's on his game. If you have a conversation with him, there you go.
My dog. That's my guy.
If you have a conversation with him about something, he's knowledgeable of his cards, and he can talk to you about that. And that just speaks volumes. So the next time I come back to the show, the third time, the fourth time, when I get to his table, I know who I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it just makes it so much easier. We talk comps real quick. As a buyer, I could leave him something on a card and take just a little bit off. I'm happy with that because I know who I'm dealing with.
Exactly.
That's really what it's all about.
Exactly. And the beauty about Ash, man, he's such a good dude, a good soul, beyond just the hobby. Man, Ash does value cards, guys. Ash does value boxes, and I'm sure he does a great number standpoint. And that's how I started. There's a lot of guys that see my cards and see my showcase, and they see, a couple zeros that they probably, they see a Honda Civic in the showcase.
That's
right. And they're a little bit price struck, but I always tell guys, man, I started in dollar boxes too, man, and I'm not, not a knock to all the homies that have, the rich parents out there and stuff, man. I didn't have that. So, I had to start from the bottom. And I remember as when I first started in the hobby, man, one of the first guys I actually met was Mark. Ultimate Pastimes was one of my big homies.
Oh, yeah.
He's a big mentor of mine.
I met him years ago. We talk about this. Years ago at autograph shows.
Yeah, and he's an OG. I mean, what Mark does, Ultimate Pastimes, what he does is in my opinion, he's the bridge. He's the bridge with all the OGs in the game. And he's also, the young guys like myself, and he's that guy. And man, when I first met Mark, my budget was like $100, FD. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like, I was very penny pinching and very, very strategic with what I picked up and things like that, to a point where now, like, buying a LeBron auto is really nothing to me at this point, because I understand that the seasoning is there. And I had to check myself, man. I think I put it out there on Instagram. I was like, man, I almost closed the BGS 9 Flair Jordan.
I saw that. I read that.
And I remember I was a little down on it, man, just because, I was very cash heavy, and the seller was just a little bit too off. And it was just a perfect Flair Jordan, in my opinion, that would possibly cross into a PSA 9. But, he's a little bit too heavy on it, and that's okay. But then I had to remind myself, man, like just less than a month ago, I picked up my first heavy PSA 8 Flair Jordan, and I started with $100 2 years ago. And I had to check myself, and I was just like, you know what? Let me ride this humbleness. Let me ride this humbleness. And I was on the flight. FD, I was on the flight. I was on business class, man. I mean, they sold out on Dynasty mode with the first class ticket. Yeah. I like to treat myself after a good show. And I like to try to fly out first class back home.
As you
But
should.
I'm a little older. The back's not doing
I
too
know what you
well
mean.
compared to what it was. But dude, I had to check myself and be like, dude, back then I used to fly standby. And again, I didn't have the means of having my mom and dad, give me money to buy cards. So I had to start with a penny, and being able to reach the success that Dynasty Mode has reached, man, it's been nothing short of incredible. So I had to humble myself a little bit on the flight, and I
Well,
knew.
at least you think like that. At least you have that thought in your mind to catch it and be like, you know what, let me treasure where I've come from. I tell my family here all the time. I started out going to like corner stores or a 7-Eleven or a retail store as a kid, buying cars. That's the only place I could really buy a car. There were very few hobby shops when I was really young. We're talking about 8, 9, 10 years old to go in and buy cars. So, and I used to dream of having certain cars. Even when LeBron first came out, and the cars now they're like $1 million. When they were in the thousands, I used to think, man, it'd be great to have a car like that. So now, if I do purchase a car that I think is significant, or it has a good trend on it, or I feel like that car is going somewhere, I do the same thing, man. I sit down and think about the times where I wouldn't have ever been able to afford that car, or I wouldn't have been able to talk or speak through that process of even getting that car.
Man, it's crazy how you mentioned that, man, because as a kid, I used to look at Beckett magazines
all the time, bro. All the time.
Man, I remember, for all y'all that were watching, man, like I remember I used to, when you first go through the first few pages of the advertising, right, of the different advertising, you would always see like the top cards of the month, right?
That's right.
And always on that Beckett 0304 was a LeBron card or a Kobe card, and that card was a jambalaya.
That's
and
right.
I remember as a kid, I was like, man, I don't know what the hell that is,
but it looks good, right?
I want that card.
Right.
Like I knew, I was like, and at the time, bro, it was like $1,000, and of course, $1,000 in 2003 was a lot of money.
Yeah, it didn't have that. Yeah,
especially for an 11-year-old.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think at the time the jambalaya was like maybe like $200-$300, or I don't know what it was, man. This is a long time ago.
It was unattainable. I used to look at stuff that was just unattainable.
Remember FD, the exquisite box was like $500, and people were losing their shits.
And people were losing their minds. Like how they charging that much?
Yeah, shouts out Carvin, man. The founder of Exquisite, the father of Exquisite. So, but man, and I remember as a kid being like, man, one day I'm gonna get these cars. And of course, I'm a Kobe guy. And man, I had to humble myself in Atlanta. Atlanta was a great show for us, and I was able to obtain the Kobe Jambalaya.
That was a nice car. I saw that picture of that. Nice car.
And like, dude, it's humbling, man, to have a bunch of cards on my desk, and I'm just comping cards, and just that humbling inclination of just. You got to take a step back and enjoy the ride. You got to take a step back and enjoy the ride. Since that show, that last Dallas show in January, I've acquired over 7 Flair Jordans. And being able to say that by March has been nothing short of incredible for our brand and for me. And man, it's been a ride, man. It's been a ride. I told my wife this, like, and on a personal note, guys, like. I touched my, I'm a college dropout. I started my first business with $10 and I grew that into a pretty sizable business. And I touched 6 figures at 22 years old. And I thought I was on the ride to become a millionaire. And then nearly at 24, I was $120,000 in debt. And I was damn near homeless. I was sleeping in my car, and I was taking showers at Crunch Fitness in Long Beach. I had a nice office, and my car was a Mercedes. But I had an E-Class Mercedes with FD. I was sleeping in a Mercedes, man, and I didn't have the guts to tell my mom and my pops, just because my mom wanted me to go to college, and I just knew college wasn't for me. And shouts out to another Chicago guy, Kanye West, that made me drop out of school. My favorite album of all time.
College Dropout.
Yeah. So that, on my personal page, for you guys that do not follow me on my personal page, I always got College Dropout on the bio, just to let people know where I come from, man. And the hustle has been real for me. You're talking about 100-hour days, that I've put into this, and being able to look back and say I've started 3 businesses out of nothing has been nothing short of incredible. So the humbleness is there, and that's why the networking for me and being able to not be necessarily a penny pincher. It's just because it's in me that it's like, hey, look, the more transactions I do, the more relationships I build, and the more relationships I build, the more I could get done, and more opportunities come with that. And of course, with opportunities come the card shows, and man, the opportunities has been real, from Newport to ultimately the Burbank Card Show, which has been an humbling experience, man. Very, very humbling.
Very cool. So I have a question here, and it was on my list as well. Brendan asked, "Do you have a Grail card?" But I wanted to ask about your PC to see, like, what are some of the wins you see in your PC, and what are some of the cards? Some cards I look at and I learned a lot with that card, even trying to acquire it, research done on it, whatever it may be. What are some of those cards in your PC?
Well, again, shouts out Brendan, man. Appreciate the question. Kobe was my guy.
Mm-hmm.
And on my Instagram, I have a post where it took me 6 months to buy a Topps Kobe rookie in 2018. And that was my favorite card. That was my favorite card. And till this day, it's my favorite card. I actually am the proud owner of the PSA 10s to the PSA 1s. I have over 60 copies of the Topps Kobe card. Now, granted, I was buying them for $50. Yeah, at Frankensons back in the day. Shout out to all the homies, all the vendors at Frankensons that I annoyed. I was like, hey, you guys have any Flair Jordans? I mean, not Flair Jordans. You guys have any Topps Kobe's? I was a fiend, bro. You should ask Flipstar Pat, man, the amount of times that we went to Frankensons just for that damn card. And man, look, it paid off. Man, unfortunately, Kobe passed, and I had no idea that these cards were gonna. No one knew that. COVID happened, and the pandemic happened. Of course, the market skyrocketed once everybody got their checks, and the Kobe market pretty much, what is it, 10x? I'd say
blew
10x.
up. Blew up.
Dude, FD, I remember buying star dates. I remember my favorite story is I bought, and Brendan, to answer your question, I'm sorry, my Grail card, of all the beautiful cards I have in the vault, my favorite card is a PSA 1. PSA 1 Kobe Topps paper 138. At one point, I was the only one that had that card. And for some of you that are asking yourselves, EJ, you could just scratch your card, rip the card apart, put the hole on the card, and it'll become a PSA 1. No, you're wrong. Because what PSA does is right when they could somewhat see an inclination that it is rightfully tampered or rightfully or purposely tampered, they'll just put an authentic case on it. I got this card off of a lot deal. I don't know. I might have gotten this from Mark or somebody, but I bought a lot of cards, and inside the cards were the cards that were stuck together. So you had to purposely have to take them out, right? And of course, I'm an idiot. I was one of those guys that was sending everything in back in the day, in 2020.
Yeah.
I was sending them in. And of course, I get a PSA 2, I get a PSA 3, I get an authentic. And lastly, I get a PSA 1. And I remember that PSA 1, I was like, what the heck? So I scanned the barcode, and I'm like, and I see pop 1, and I'm like freaking out. And I can't say the 2 folks that have offered me insane money for this card, but as it stands today, there's I think there's 3. I believe there's 3 in the world, and I have not seen them in person. I take them to shows. I haven't taken them to shows recently. I'm sorry, but I take them to shows to show it off, and at the moment it's not for sale. But I've been offered PSA 10 pricing for the PSA 1, and that's my favorite card because it's one of those cards that you just can't get, man. Like most people have the exquisites, and I do have some very, very nice Kobe's in the vault. But that's probably my favorite PC card is that Kobe PSA 1.
Very cool, man.
Yeah,
that's a very cool story.
Yeah.
I remember I had a friend that found that he was in the middle of Missouri. His name is Drew. I went to college with him. Shout out to you, Drew. He found that old Jackie Robinson card for sale for like $125. This card is beat up. And I said, hey, man, he sends me a picture. I said, let me Venmo you right now. Please buy that card and send it to me. So he
Right.
buys the card and sends it to me. I send it into a PSA. I get a PSA 1 on that Jackie Robinson card. But it's not about the PSA 1 on the card. It's about the story of him being in the middle of Missouri in no man's land and no woman's land. And then finding that card, texting me, and then sending me a card. I was just showing some people here at home the picture of it the other day. To me, though, the story you just told is a story that is special. You know, those are the cards that a lot of people may think. And I knew when I asked this question, it wasn't going to be something with a big dollar amount to it. It was going to be something else because it becomes very important with the stories and how you acquired something and how you went about getting it. That is important to people. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah,
That kind
no,
of stuff makes me excited.
but don't make no mistake, my PC is definitely a Roth IRA. It's definitely that. But I think I'm more proud of the fact that I was not. I invested pretty low on it, and investing wasn't even a term back then. It was not a term. There was, I think, Sports Card Investor was just starting. He was like the only real true YouTuber when it came to investing, right? And even then, Jeff wasn't as like, you could see he wasn't as camera heavy on the
No, he was
show,
not. I remember when he
like
first started. I remember he walked in the first national he went to. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I didn't even man. Shouts out to Average Joe's, man. That's my local card show for my local card shop for life. Those are my guys: Jared, Dave, E, Travis. Travis is a well-known guy in the card show ranks too.
Yeah, I really enjoy Travis, man. He's always good to talk to.
Of course, my hobby cousin Gretz and everybody that's there at Average Joe's, man. I will say this, man. Those guys took care of me, and I remember the Kobe showcases were there, and I would always buy Kobe's. I would never look at the comps. I would just never look at the comps. I would just be like, because I knew, like, dude, this is a local card show. Card shop that has rent. This is a card shop that has overhead, and I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. I understand that. So I'm like, who am I to look at a comp? And I'm like, well, the last comp was $20. Well, guess what? The guy who bought that card had to pay. They had to pay taxes on the card. He had to pay shipping on the card. He had to pay. He had to pay time on the card. He had to wait 4 or 5 days to get the card. Sometimes even weeks, depending on the eBay seller and depending on location. Average Joe's already has it. They curated the card for you. And then I think a lot of people don't understand too is that there's condition bases with cards. There's time frames on cards. There's location on a card. A Mike Trout card in LA may not necessarily move in the city of Ohio, but it'll move in LA because he's Mike Trout, right? Or and there's different parlays to it. But I bought every Kobe card that they had at the time. And gladly luckily they were cheap, right? In today's standards. And the card that I remember buying was I remember buying a Star Date. Kobe Star Date.
It was a smooth card. That's a
smooth
nice
card. And I remember buying that card. I don't remember how much I bought that card FD, and I stupidly sent it in for $13 PSA. Cool little 30 days, and even 30 days for me was like, what? Like 30 days? Like I don't know about no 30 days to, have some random company, and
eyeball your card up, right?
And yeah, man. And bro, I sent it in and it became a PSA 9. And I remember just leaving it in my collection. And of course, a year later, the market boomed. And I remember the PSA 10 went for like $70,000. And I had offers for, I think the most I got offered, I don't know if he wants to publicize himself, but a good friend of mine who's a very well-known guy in the industry, he offered me, and he's a good friend of mine, he offered me $14,000 cash for the card. Now, mind you, FD, I was probably in on that card for maybe a few $100s, and of course the $13, and of course I reluctantly passed, and and I remember Card Poppy, Mr. my man, Mr. Card Poppy himself was like, man, you should sell this card, and I was like, nah, man, like I think that and I got greedy, and man, that card's maybe what $1,000 now.
It went back down.
And I remember FDI, I sold about 40% of my Kobe collection during that boom, and till this day that money has been reciprocated back into the card game, and I'm very blessed to still be in it. But I took my whole family out on vacation to Las Vegas, and in turn, now we're in Las Vegas. So
Very cool.
so man, being able to reciprocate that kind of money to Las Vegas, and then of course I think I sold my Topps Chrome Kobe True Gem Plus. I bought that card in June for $4,000. I bought it in June 2020, and I sold it for just a little under $32,000 in February. And being able to get those gains back in the day was insane. Of course, now it's you can't do that anymore. But back in the day, man, back in the day was last year. Like, man, it was crazy to look back at that time. And I think now at this time, you have to step up your game a little bit and be more educational based. Yes, you get lucky here and there, but definitely finding your niche is very key in this.
Let me ask you this now. The question I have for you now on this show, right? I think you may know this. I don't know if you don't. We talk all-time NBA players, and some people talk their list or who are the players at the top of their list. Who would you say is your top 5 NBA all time?
Oh man! Before I get very controversial here, I forget the dude's name. He just asked the question from Colorado. Colorado sports dude. Shouts out to you, man. Have I? Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's mostly Kobe cards. There was I had a platinum medallion Kobe Shaq that I reluctantly sold for about $1,000. That card is probably worth around like $10,000 now. And it's cards that you sell and you just can't get anymore. Those are cards that I always tell guys that sell the higher end stuff. Like, hey, look, if you sell this card, you're just never going to get it anymore because those guys just keep them in a vault. Shouts out Gretz. I don't know if I'm allowed to publicize this, but Gretz owns a Topps Chrome Steph Curry PSA 10 and refractor. And he was offered pretty insane money for it. And of course he turned it down because Gretz is a collector. He's not doing this to flip. He's not doing this for that. And he bought that card, I believe, in like 2015. And he's not in it to flip, man. I mean, I'm sure he's in it to invest, right, of some sorts. But yeah, man, there's cards out there that I regret for sure. But I have tunnel vision. My tunnel vision is straightforward, and I look forward. But yes, I do PC a lot more Colorado sports, dude. So I'm like, I don't know if I can get this card anymore, especially my PC. Yeah. I just in Atlanta, I bought a Roy Williams exquisite auto, and I'm a big Tar Heel fan. And may I tell you, Mr. FD, I had a great time watching Coach K lose in his last game in Cameron. So
I knew he was going to lose that game.
Oh man, momentum was off already.
That's right.
To begin with. And basketball's a momentum game. But going back to what you said, my top 5 list, I will say this: my top 5 is definitely hard, but it's very guard heavy.
What I always say is everyone has their own list, and it's a story behind it. So
I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble for some of y'all watching, man.
No big men, but we know you're not naming any big men.
I'm gonna get in trouble. So my number 5, and again, this isn't necessarily accolades. This is just like top players of all time. I got Magic at the 5. I think what Magic did in the game has been nothing short of incredible. I do got a big man. I got Shaq at 4.
Okay.
I think Shaq is the most dominant player ever in, I'd like to say basketball, but a part of me just kind of wants to say sport. Dude, like,
he's dominating.
That clip. And shouts out to Reef and his little brother. I know Reef personally, so shout out Sharif. Good guy, great kid. Probably has more of his mom's genes on a sense of personality. But dude, nevertheless he's Shaq's son. But definitely Shaq at the 4. And you remember that clip where he just dunked on all over over Bradley? Remember that joint? Yep. And I was just like, man, like, and he pushed him. I'm just like,
him off, ran out the court.
Like who does that? Just
the way Shaq told the story, they were chirping, right?
Yeah, I think they were chirping.
Talking, and Shaq told someone, "I'm gonna get down the post, give me the ball, and then I'm gonna show you what's up."
Exactly, and to be able to win at such a high peak, and Shaq, of course, had a little bit more weight than he probably should have, playing. But at the same time, man, Shaq was Shaq. He was Diesel. And of course, again, guys, I'm from LA. I'm from LA, so Shaq got to be he got to be up there.
Okay.
Number 3 is King James. Number 3 is King James. Now, King James may be actually he might get up there. He might get there. I think it's just unfair to put him at the 1 spot at the moment because he's still playing. And then I don't have a number 2. I have a 1A, 1B.
Oh, okay.
And 1A, of course, is the GOAT, MJ. But 1B is my man Bean. My man Kobe. There's a lot of disrespect going on, man. Saying that Kobe's not even top 5, top 10. Man, let me tell you,
Kobe Bryant is definitely top.
Hell, y'all.
Top 5. If someone doesn't think he's top 5, I don't know what to say about that.
For those of y'all that are under the age of 25,
that's right.
Y'all need to shut up.
Yeah.
Kobe was that guy. Yeah. If Kobe was in the man, look, I've seen Kobe. Kobe dropped 81 on a bum team. My business partner, Devin Green, was on that team. And I'm just over here. And Devin even said, he's like, bro, I've never seen someone just that. Like, bro, he dropped 81 points on a bummy team. The man, I ruptured my Achilles, FD. So I know how hard it was. And for Kobe to rupture his Achilles and to shoot 2 free throws and walk out the court like a G.
Walk to the line and walk off the court.
Kobe, and a lot of people don't understand, Kobe was not God-given ability athletic-wise. He was not. He was not. And for those of you that really know the game of basketball, y'all know that, man, Kobe worked a ton harder than a lot of guys, right? And dude, putting it out there, man, Kobe is that guy. And he's
I love the stories about Kobe Bryant is when his teammates talk about they're leaving the stadium and they better go to the club, right? They better go kick it. And Kobe Bryant's like, no, I got to get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
To work on my game.
Yep.
The players would invite him to birthday parties for their children. He's like, no, I'm gonna be practicing.
Yeah. The man lived it. He was a Mamba mentality, like what my guy said at NorCal, man. He's Mamba, and being able to have that mentality have that mindset of being able to, man. I had this talk with my wife earlier, man. Shouts out to my wife. She's definitely my queen, my partner in life, man. She's the reason why I'm succeeding in this joint. I remember she hears all the talks with me and all the venting that I got to do. And I remember, I'm over here telling her, I'm like, man, look, man, I got people that think that it's just look, I'm one of the more fun guys to be around. I'm one of the more easier guys to hang around. But when it comes time to business, brother, it's business time, bro. It's business time. I put my hard hat on and I put my money where my mouth is because I put my work in. And I felt like that's a Mamba mentality. That being able to just be ingrained, just being like, yo, like, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. And I felt like that was Kobe. And it's funny, FD, I was not even a Laker fan growing up. I was a big Laker hater growing up.
Who's the Russo growing up?
Oh, man, I was a big Toronto Raptors fan. It was all really random, but it was because I was a big Vince Carter fan. Okay. But man, I rooted against the Lakers, man. I was a Raptor. I was a Jailblazers fan. Ruben Patterson, the Kobe stopper. And, of course, Ruben didn't stop Kobe enough.
He didn't stop anything.
And then I became a Sacramento Queens fan. Hey, shouts out to Mojo, man. That's my dog. But like, I remember when Shaq called them the Sacramento Queens, bro. That joint was funny. And Sacramento Kings. And man, of course, I rooted for the Nets. I was a big Jason Kidd fan, of course, as a point guard. And then, of course, I was a big AI fan. And man, I tried my best to root against the Lakers. I'm still not a Laker fan like Mr. Flipstar, but I am rooting for them to make the playoffs. And but dude, ever since then, I think it was like 2001, I finally became a Kobe fan, and realizing, you know what, man, I'm a rock for this guy regardless. And man, I was actually hoping he was going to get traded in 2007. I don't know if you remember that, when he was going to get traded. And I don't know the exact stories of it, but
that was the year he was supposed to go to the Bulls, right?
Yeah, he was supposed to go to the Bulls, bro. He was supposed to go to the Bulls. I remember he was supposed to get traded. I think it was like Ben Gordon or something. And shouts out Ben Gordon. But like Kobe was the guy, man. And I think I became a true fan in 2009 when he led him to the finals, and finally the argument of, can he win without Shaq? Can he win without Shaq? That finally got it settled. And that's my top 5, man, is
I respect it.
Yeah, that's my top 5. And being able to to put that out there, man. Kobe. Yeah, if your list doesn't have Kobe in the top 5, man, you're irrelevant. Your list is
I don't know what people are talking about. You talking about a
Yeah.
man who can shoot from anywhere on the court and end the game?
You know, it's funny, FD. I actually got to experience Kobe. He missed a shot, but I got to witness one of those last minute Kobe. The last minute Kobe. You know, he's dribbling down the ball, and it was against OKC. I took my brother, and my little brother at the time was like 12 years old. He was a big OKC fan because you know they young guns. You know, they had KD, they had James, they had Russ, they had Serge. And they had Perk. And I remember Kobe like last minute, and I think they screened on Russ, but luckily KD switched out, and then Cephalosha switched in. And of course, Thabo Cephalosha was a defender, and Thabo was just that guy that was just like, yo, I know if I could get him left, there's a 60% chance he gonna make it, but I'm gonna take that 40%. Of course, Kobe shoots it, it goes ring rattle and goes out. And I remember I was just like, whoa, I got to, even if he missed.
Yeah, you got to see that in person.
But the experience, bro, was like, wow, the allure of Staples Center. And I don't care what it's called now, bro. It's still the Staples Center.
It's still the Staples Center to me, too.
It's still the Staples Center. I can't call it anything else. And I remember the allure of everybody standing up. And I'm just like, dude, there's 25, 30,000 people standing up just to watch this dude make the shot. You know, I thought that was so sick, man, as an early entrepreneur, being able to witness that on a Christmas week. And man, it was nothing short of incredible, man. So Kobe's definitely my GOAT B, you know. So, but make no mistake, Jordan is that guy.
Oh, well, we got to keep it real, EJ. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, even coming from Chicago, I love Kobe Bryant because he had that mentality that he could win a game no matter what and from anywhere on the court. And if you wanted to play defense against him, you couldn't just get him, well, he can't dribble with his left. No, he played pickup games where he only dribbled with his left, only shot with his left. He always worked on his weaknesses. Those are the things that I really liked about Kobe Bryant. So he's my, you know, he's definitely in my top 5.
Right.
So I got a question for you that I'm trying to find here. Someone asked a question, what do you think about grading cars outside of PSA? Like, are there any grading companies that you would say, yeah, I would do that?
My standard is PSA. If there's any chance that this could gem, PSA of course is the high school cheerleader. It's the popular girl in school right now, right? And I think they're going to be the popular girl in school for a pretty long time at the moment. Nat Turner and the guys are doing an incredible job. Shouts out to the guys that I know there at PSA. Of incredible, being able to see that company really just take over the sense of grading, right? And of course they're not perfect. They make mistakes like everybody else, right? But PSA is the standard for the market right now, and at the moment that's where we're at is with PSA. Now for thick cards and cards that you personally think may not gem but has an opportunity to become a true gem, right? Or gem mint, Beckett's definitely a good way to go. Beckett is pretty solid with their turnaround terms. I think they're great. And of course, the last play is SGC. SGC, I was a big hater in SGC. Shouts out to my guy Mike again. Back in the 2000s, I was not about it, FD. I was not about the tuxedo time. I was not about that time. But I kind of grew fonder, man. I kind of was just like, man, you know what? SGC is not that bad. And,
I feel the same way. That was one time I would not purchase or talk to anyone about the SGC card. I feel completely differently now. Right.
And it's funny because I was in the market. I don't know if the screen went black, but my boy Goat City was calling me, and he has this LeBron jambalaya that I wanted, but it's an SGC 7. And may I say, the jambalaya on the SGC case is kind of dope.
Yeah,
it's kind of dope. It's kind of dope. I can't lie. Little pop. So I think it's now. Do I still think would I prefer SGC case over a PSA case for jambalayas? No, not yet. But when it comes time, if we're talking about SGC, I did send some cards. I've sent over 50 cards with SGC this year. and they've been some pretty good turnovers. So SGC, I believe, was like $25 or $30 a card for anything under the 5,000 mark of value. So SGC is a great option. Now PSA is opening back up for those of you that do not know. Of course, the wait times are a little bit longer, but if for those of you that have the time, definitely PSA.
So let's talk card shows. When is the next Newport show coming?
Man, I am currently, well, I will say this, the next Newport show will be a 2-day show. And we're really excited to cater to the community in Southern California, especially the Orange County, the South OC area. A lot of people know South OC and North OC is about a 45-minute drive, 40-minute drive. So it's technically another city. It's technically another county. Right. And it's a lot, guys, you're from Chicago, FD. And I remember, I remember when I first started bringing friends of mine from out of state, they would realize like, man, LA is not really LA. Hollywood and Gardena are like an hour and a half away. I'm like, yeah. Man, like it's a different world.
And then when you get there, it's two totally different places.
Right. There's only 2 LCSs in South OC, and I felt it was a great opportunity. And of course, my 2 guys, man, my 2 partners in crime with the Newport Showcase, Ryan and DJ OC Cards. Those guys really persuaded me to do the show. And man, I'm glad they did. Because it opened opportunities for me with Newport. And our next show, we're aiming for it hopefully sometime before the summer, if not during the summer. And of course, they'll be inside. Our world famous AC, our world famous food that we provide, and of course our A1
great
service
show,
that we're so proud of. And man, not a knock to every other show, but I do believe the Newport Showcase is the best show in California, and I'm excited for that. Now, I will say this though, there is the Burbank Card Show, which is
we're gonna get to that next.
We'll get into that a little bit later, man. But Newport is definitely going to be 2 days, and man, we're really excited to have y'all. There's definitely been a lot of buzz of more out-of-state guys that are going to come, so it's definitely going to be a good time. And of course, we'll have the same familiar faces that you guys all love and enjoy doing deals with, like my man Ashley, Dream City, and everybody else that's going to be a part of the show. So tune in for more information on that. We should probably have the actual dates in the next coming weeks.
That's very good. Now let's talk about the Burbank show. When is it going to be? Just so everybody hears it from you, and tell us about the show. What's going to make this show different?
So it's August 26th, which is a Friday, till August 28th, which is a Sunday, and it's definitely going to be my. I said this to my guy Steven Goat City in the hotel the other day. It's my LP. It's my album cover. It's my album. This is my. And again, shouts out to Rob and the guys at Burbank. Rob is an incredible business partner. For those of y'all that have never met Rob, he's definitely the same guy that he is on the IG Live, man.
He is. Yeah. And if you haven't met him, people should go meet him. Go talk to him.
Yes. For those of you guys that are in Southern California, feel free to DM me. I'll make sure to do a formal introduction for you. That way you're all in tune. But you guys don't even need me. You guys could just go up to Rob and be like, hey, Rob, I'm from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. What's good? And
He's
Rob will just
personable.
basically take your hand and he'll show you the, I tell this funny story all the time, man, of, the first time I went to Burbank, man, Rob treated me like gold. And Rob didn't know who the hell I was, man. But that stuck to me and my wife, and who's right next to me. And I remember I was telling my wife, I was like, yo, most card shops, man, they got a little attitude. Most of them,
or they're just not personable. They're not
it's not personable. And, man, some of those guys just, man, they got something up their butts. Like, those guys got something. Like, man, I don't even know. And again, I'm not trying to knock on anybody, but a Burbank is that shop. Burbank, make no mistake, is the best card shop in America, just on a sense of liquidity and being able to shop the cards that you want that you may not find at a store, both in high end and in value cards.
That's right.
And of course, shouts out to to Jay at Premiere, who made it happen for me to be a part of the partnership. And man, originally I think they were only trying to do like quarterly shows or like every month shows of about 100 tables, and I was the idiot that told them of the possibility of making it a national show or a national type of show. And I didn't think that 2 weeks later Rob would finally call in and say, hey guys, let's figure this out. And I'll say this, FD, I'm looking forward to that time where both me, Rob, and Jay could finally talk about the intensive story of how this actually came about. Rob would talk about it on his IG lives a little bit, but I want to talk about what I had to go through, aka flying out and driving back and forth from Vegas to this. And had I known that the opportunity was there, I probably wouldn't have moved to Vegas. But the opportunity came about, and man, the past 2 months have been past 3 months have been nothing short of incredible. The networking, the meetings that I've been a part of. I'm not going to spill any beans, but I'm telling y'all this, man, is I'm giving it my all, guys. Jay's giving his all. Rob is giving his all. As you can see, Rob is talking about it all day, every day. We'll have some vendors that aren't necessarily at California shows, and they'll be there. And for those of us that don't usually go to Dallas shows or the nationals and things like that, this is it. This is it, guys. This is it. This is our show. And it's not necessarily a Burbank show or an EJ show. This is our show in Southern California. This is our show.
It's really the Southern California National.
And again, we're not trying to compete with anybody. Of course, and the Nationals is a juggernaut unto itself. Of course, it's going to be smaller. It's our first show. It's not even the Dallas Card Show, which is a great show. Shouts out Leo and the gang. But I'm definitely giving this my all of what I've learned from other card shows and things like that. And guys, for those of y'all that don't know, I've been an entrepreneur for about 11 years now. Running card shows is definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I will say this, man, being able to be the point guard of the Burbank Card Show has been an honor. It's been very humbling. Shouts out Ryan, John, the gang at Burbank that have been very helpful and being able to solidify guys that I personally didn't know. I'm not going to name any names of guys, but I will say this, our first commitment post, which is coming up in the next few weeks, man, let me tell you, bro, have you seen a trailer in a movie and then you just see the actors that are a part of it and the people that are a part of the movie, and you're just like, holy smokes, this is a star-studded show. Well, guess what? That's what the Burbank's going to be about. It's going to be that. And we're going to have some heavy meetings in the next few months or so. But until then, the flyer's coming out, hopefully in the next day or so. I'm still trying to figure out some last minute things to put on the flyer. But man, Burbank Card Show, guys, get ready. It's going to be our show, the hotel, the Marriott Convention Center in Burbank, California. It's literally walking distance from the Burbank Airport. There's a ton of parking on site, also on site at the airport, near the airport. There's a lot there. I did my negotiations with the hotel for y'all to make sure that it's as accommodating and as affordable for the family. Again, it's going to be free for most kids. I don't know the exact age yet, but we're trying to make it a great show for everybody. But make no mistake, this is a card show. The vendors are at the moment we're only invite only for vendors. So for those of you guys that are now, you guys are more than welcome to email me at ej@burbankcardshow.com. And I'll be more than happy to look over your products but again, we're screening everybody. We're making sure that these are guys that actually take this industry seriously. No knock to everybody that waits in line at Targets and just flip stuff and stuff, but we're looking for guys that actually do this for a living, and guys that are serious about this hobby. Now, you guys are more than welcome to walk for sure and enjoy the show, but make no mistake, the vendor list is going to be elite. It's going to be some of the best guys, not just in California, but some of the best guys in the country. It's like a McDonald's All-American game, but it's with some of the best guys. And of course, we'll have some of the best media guys, and of course, guys like FD and of course the Sashas of the world and all those guys, the Roth cards and all those guys are going to be a part of it. Shouts out Josh, who already committed and they're ready to go. And if there's other guys that I've already committed, But we're gonna have the up and coming YouTubers and again, FD. I don't know if I publicize this, but I watch most of the YouTube guys. I study. This is the YouTube is my game film, brother. That's my film. I watch film of how guys do business and how guys do work. That's my film. Again, guys, I come from a basketball background, so I watch film like a nuthead. And I'm a basketball nuthead, dude. So I know, growing up, man, I knew where a guy went to high school. I knew where a guy played AAU.
Oh, we did football as well. I knew everything about it. Yeah,
exactly. So you studied your competition. You studied your the guys that are vendoring, and that's what I do, man. I study the mess out of it, man. And make no mistake, I've made sure that the guys on the list are guys that, and of course, man, not everybody's perfect, but we're trying to do our very best to provide the best experience for you guys, to make deals, to enjoy it, to be able to see cards that no one has ever seen. And we've had a few big commitments in the past few days that even I'm a little bit humbled about, and we're really excited. And the website will be launched this week as well. We'll have the discount code for the Marriott hotel. It's a beautiful hotel, and guess what, guys? The hotel is connected to the convention center, so it's about 60 feet walking distance. There's 2 restaurants, so of course, me and FD are going to get down on some grub. And
but just so you know now, while they serve the beef and the chicken, I'm gonna be on the vegetable side.
Oh, that's right. My man FDV. Well, guess what, man? We're gonna have I think the restaurant has some pretty solid vegan options. I mean, it's in Burbank,
we're gonna be kicking it, bro.
So we'll be kicking it for sure, man. We'll have a good Kool-Aid action, and we'll have a great time. But we'll again, guys. I mean, for those of y'all that are coming from Northern California all the way to New York, man, we're just really excited to have you guys a part of this show. And again, I'll still be going to the Dallas card shows. I'll still be going to the national shows. I see this more as an opportunity for Southern California to have their own show. And we hear all the talks all the time of who's the West Coast Nationals and who's this, who's that. Oh yeah, we're we have 800 million tables and stuff. Make no mistake, we're not that. We're not the, and again, this is from a partner of the Burbank Card Show. Or we're not trying to be that. What we're trying to be is we're trying to be the best card show that we can be, and make no mistake, man, we're going to do that. So, and that's our pie is anybody else could be that. We're trying to be the Burbank Card Show. That's what we're trying to be.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. We plan to be there all 3 days.
Me too, bro.
Yeah. and meeting as many people as possible, people that we don't know right now, having good conversations with people. And then also participating in card deals and talking to people about cards. But when we get there, it's going to be about much more than cards at that show. And I just appreciate the opportunity that you, Rob, Burbank, Ryan, everybody has been involved in Premier Card Show. Everybody has been involved. Even when we first started the show, we thought like it'd be great if we had something here that was just a great show. So when I first heard about this, we got hyped.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you that, EJ. We got hyped,
right?
Because I think it's special to have something like this here. And then how you all have planned it. I mean, to have a show where you get off the plane at the airport, you're at the show.
Literally walking distance from the man. Look, my Dallas, and I love. Again, I'm going to every Dallas show as I can, right? And I love everybody there, but dude, that's a $50-$60 Uber ride one way. Surge in Atlanta, my Uber in Atlanta with the guys was about 140. Now, granted, it was Surge. It was at night. We don't mind spending the bread. We got it. But not everybody.
It's like going to the Bay Area and going to the Fairfield show.
Exactly. And shouts out to Dion, man. I'll be at Hayward at their new location. That's my big homie, man. That's my uncle. It's my Uncle Snoop, Dion. So. But
I'll tell you this: once you get out of whatever Uber car you're in or whatever, that Fairfield show is nice.
Oh yeah, man, that's an incredible show. And again, Dion has earned his stripes, man. And I'll say this, FD. The 2 guys that I emulate as far as guys I've had the most inspiration from with running card shows is Dion and Wiley. Those are 2 guys that I personally have emulated on the sense of being as not just in a sense of transparency, but in a sense of accommodations. When you're a card show host, yes, if you do it right, guys, the money is great. But make no mistake, this is real hard work. And what Wiley and Alex has done with the shows, and then of course what Dion has done with the very little he does in marketing and Instagram, has been nothing short of incredible. And those are two guys that I personally look up to in a sense of running card shows and accommodations and just being a great host. I think that's the biggest thing. Is a lot of people don't understand that is the value of spacing, the value of not everything is about profit.
That's right.
We realized at the Newport show that we're gonna have to spend some good money on food and some good money on staffing and things like that. And shouts out to my guys again, man, Ryan and DJ, man, incredible partnerships all around that they understand. Look, it's gonna cost some money to actually do this, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that I'm very, very proud of. And especially again, NorCal Emperor said it, man. Dion's incredible, man. He understands the value of X's and O's. And again, not a shot to anybody else that runs card shows, man. But dude, it does take some money. And I say this, man, when you're doing card shows, you want to take profit on the next show. That's the biggest thing. And being able to make the mistakes on the first show and being able to learn. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. But yeah, those are two guys that I personally look up to in a sense of accommodation, in a sense of networking, and especially in a sense of not having any excuses. And I think those are two guys that are the first guys. And I hear this all the time, man, like, oh yeah, my show this, my show that, this and that. Man, look, we make mistakes at Newport too. We make mistakes and I remember it was Wiley's birthday at Pachanga. Okay. And we were the last ones. Of course, we had a obligation to sing happy birthday to my brother, my big homie Wiley. And man, even then you could tell he was very swamped. He was very tired, and even Alex as well, who was very tired. But you could tell. I remember asking him, and he's all thinking about the different things they could have done better, the different, and the same with Dion. I've had talks with my big homie Dion all the time, and he's always said it, man. And I love guys like that. I honestly love guys like that are like, man, we could have done better. Like guys that see, because dude, it's like yeah, you could toot your horn and you could do that all the time, but it takes a man to own up to your mistakes. It takes a real man to understand, like, what, maybe we shouldn't have placed that guy there because there was really not that good of a lighting over there. It's little things like that you have to worry about with card shows. It's lighting and spacing, insurance, and safety. That's the biggest thing too, right? You're a host. And making sure there's enough, and that's the biggest thing, man, that I love about those two guys is, and Alex is included in that, right? Is they understand transparency. And I think that's the beauty of it. And when you understand transparency, growth is there. And when growth is there, opportunity meets. And when opportunity meets, then you're able to go to Benihana's.
And kick it afterwards, right? But I want to go back to what you were talking about what the hungriness and saying that, what could be better in this show. I haven't met Dion yet in person, but the other people that you talked about, and including yourself, there's a level of humility there to take the time to step back, to look and see what could have been better. And when we walk a show, right, we don't walk a show to even be like when G and I go out, we're not walking the show to be critical at all. Right. But I can tell you, when we walked into Newport for the first time, I turned to him and said, this is different, right? Mm-hmm. You can tell by the entire atmosphere, spacing of tables, the music playing, but not too loud. You took the time to first give us parking, but also what the food was. Like G ate over there and thought that food was phenomenal. Yeah, it's the small things, and when we come out, we see a lot at other shows, and then you can see any show you go to, the benefits of that show. Right. Yeah. Right.
No, the beauty of that, and thank you for saying that, FD, is, and again, I've always been the guy that always strive to be different. Mm-hmm. I when I first started in the hobby, I've realized that there's cliques, and I've realized that there's guys.
Oh, yeah. I had to realize that after a while.
There's cliques, and it's funny now because I'm not saying some of these companies I'm currently in talks with, right, with Burbank related things or Newport related things, right? So, but I was invited to a couple cool little parties in Dallas and cool little activations. But dude, I'm regular EJ, man. I like hanging out with my folks. I love hanging out with good people, and I've always been that guy. I've actually seen Wiley do this, where Wiley has approach the vendor that may not have got the same amount of traction. And I've seen Wiley like, hey, brother, look, let me introduce you to this guy. Let me introduce you to that guy. And I find value in that. I find value in giving, just giving the folks flowers that may not, get the same amount of love like everybody else. Yeah, like, I remember one of my favorite, and again, I'm very blessed, man. I started when I got back into the hobby, I had my cousin, I had Pat, I had my boy Mike, I had Jeremiah Hoopery, those guys are my folks, man. I mean, those are some of my best homies in the game. But again, we're friends outside of the hobby, and I had that. There's not a lot of guys that was luckily started with that. So they didn't have the clicks and have that. What I love is that, when we went to Dallas, we went out to eat, man. And, I don't know if any of y'all saw the photos that followed me on Dynasty Mode. We came in packs, we came in packs, and I was going to put, we were the hobby, All-American rejects on the bio, because we're really not cliques, man. Like, we basically like, yo, if you're trying to pull up, and I'm not, against anybody with cliques and things like that, because I feel like you should hang out with who you should personally want to hang out with, right? But I've always been the type of person where I like to introduce myself to guys that are just like no one really knows. I really root for the underdog, and because I was that, and then when I started the Newport Showcase, I was honestly just hoping for like 40, 50 tables, and I was telling DJ and Ryan at BJ's, I was like, hey guys, your expectations are really high. I'm thinking 40, 50 tables. And our first show, we hit 125. Yeah. And our next show, I think we hit 130. And even then, that 130 was sold out, both shows. And the demand was there beyond that. And I was very humbled by the fact that, like, wow, like, people really supported me, and being able to say, of course, FD, and for those of y'all that don't know, or for those of you guys that do know, like, when you guys go to shows, there's guys, of course, that, don't get the same amount of love because they may have cheaper cards than others, and they may have this, and I learned that from Mark, and again, Mark's a big brother to me, and Ultimate Pastimes, and Mark loves going to those smaller shows. He loves going and being able to network with the guys that don't necessarily get the same, and they're not YouTubers per se. It's funny now because, dude, like, I go to a national show and the kid's like, hey man, I see you on YouTube, or I see you here, or like, I see you on FD's video and things like that. And that's very humbling because, 2 years ago, like, no one knew who the heck I was, and besides that, I think the beauty of the success is I hang out with the same guys. I hang out with Pat, I hang out with, even that, Pat's a celebrity in himself. I went to the Nationals last year, man, and I was a little bit starstruck because this dude hit me up. He's like, yo, Dynasty Mode. And I never seen this guy in my life. And he told me he was from like Oklahoma, and he told me he was a big fan. I don't even remember what interview I did, but he told me he tuned in and said he appreciated the content and things like that. And then he asked me where Flipstar was. And I'm starstruck because I'm like, I'm off the plane, FD. I'm like, this is my first time in a really long time going to the Nationals. My last Nationals was when I was barely in high school in Anaheim. Mm-hmm. So this was my first Nationals as an actual Dynasty Mode, right? And people were asking me where Flipstar was, and I was like, how do you even know Flipstar? Like, that's so wild to me. But the notoriety has been nothing short of incredible. And but I hang out with the same guys, man, and
that's cool.
I'm the same dude, bro. Like, you come up to me, I'm the same guy. Of course, man, if you're weird, like, of course, like, if you're going to be a weirdo about it, of course, I'm going to be I might be a little bit off on that. But that's the same with my guys that are, same with Rob, you go to Rob and he'll talk the mess out of you, and Rob's the guy that,
yes, he will.
Man, I've seen Rob literally talk for like literally 20 minutes to a guy who's like never been ever at Burbank, like never ever, and yet again, everybody has different personalities, right? But again, man, like, I've always been the type of person that's like, yo, I'm a talker, and I love to be different, And I love that the Newport showcase is going to be different. I think that's going to be the same with Burbank. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. When you guys expect that, yes, there's going to be some inspiration with different things, but make no mistake, the Burbank Card Show is an extension of the Burbank Sports Cards card shop, and what it is it's different. And that's what we strive to be. Our motto is the epicenter of sports cards. Experience the epicenter of sports cards, and that's what we're going to be.
Well, that just it all gets me excited. Some of the things you said kind of resonate with me. One of the goals of Rolling with FT is to showcase people in the hobby that maybe a lot of people don't talk to or don't put in the shows. When we first started, we wanted to put vendors that we talk to at shows, and definitely the ones that we think highly of. They could be well known on Instagram or have a lot of followers or any other social media platform, or they could just be starting out. But we had a good conversation with them, and we wanted to showcase that, and we're going to continue to do that.
Right.
We're going back to like clicks. We first walked into our first shows. We knew no one.
Right.
I had been to shows growing up, been to shows in Chicago, been to shows as adults in different states. LA definitely has a different vibe when it comes to a show. But when G and I first went out the first couple of times, we knew no one. When we came to Fairfield, we did not know you. But when we came up to your table, you were inviting and cool to talk to. And when we met Pat was cool to talk to. He laughed and joked with us. And every time afterwards we saw Pat, he remembered who we were and he talked to us.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like Wiley Alex, CDG. There are a lot of people that every time we see them, they're the same people.
Shout out Chris, by the way.
Great. Yeah, Chris is he's a cool dude, man.
Yeah. Chris was with us. This was his first Dallas show. Mm-hmm. And man, the last day, we were in the same hotel room, and we were all just kicking it, man, having a good time, vibing out the last night of the show. And man, we were blasting some music, and Chris wasn't necessarily a rap fan. Like myself and Goat City and everybody else. So, I had to ask him, I was like, hey man, who are you a fan of? And of course I grew up, I went to high school in South Orange County.
Okay.
So of course I had a little rocker in me, I had a little rocker in me, and I had some pretty cool hits, and I played some hits, and dude, we bonded over some good music, man, and some good music that both of us had never heard before. But CDG Chris, shouts out to you, brother. Man, we had a great time. But
cool
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, cool guy in my book. Every time we see him, we have good conversations, talk about stuff, talk about the cars that he's interested in. I know the next time I'm saying we're gonna talk about some of the stuff he picked up in Dallas. That's just how it is. And I love talking to people who are just themselves, not really trying to be someone else. So those are the kind of people that we're going to continue to showcase and talk to. I had a conversation the other day with different people who want to meet when we get to Del Mar and walk a show with them and talk to them about stuff. That's the stuff that's cool to me. I think I also kind of root for the underdog. And when I was in school, and I was a bigger kid than most kids, I was always taking up for those who someone was trying to bully.
Right.
I'm just not about that, man.
Right. That's facts, man.
Cool. Yeah.
And
I've learned a lot about you today, from playing basketball to your relationship with your dad, and then how you guys started in the cards. And it's good to know, man. We see each other all the time.
Yeah, no, the love has been always real every time you came and I see you, man. And again, man, like I appreciate everything that you do, and make no mistake, what you do for the hobby is definitely a lot bigger than what people see. Being able to showcase and being able to put content out there has been nothing short of incredible for Rolling with FD. And I always joke about it, man. I always be like, hey, I'm rolling, I'm rolling my guy. That's always been the thing. And I remember I told Rob, I was like, yo, hey, I got FD, man. He's gonna be on the list on the media side. And for those of you guys that are YouTubers, by the way, I want to make sure I take care of you guys on both the Newport and the Burbank Card Show. So for those of you guys that are up and comers, feel free to email me, EJ at Burbank Card Show and Dynasty Mode if you want to DM me. I'd be more than happy to take care of you on passes. Now, again, you got to be a legit YouTuber. I'm talking about more than like 2 videos, like guys that are actually going to shows and stuff like that. And shouts out to the YouTubers that are under the radar.
Yeah, there are a lot.
Because I remember when Josh first started, when Roth Cards first started. I remember when Keen first started. I remember when you first started, and being able to see the success. I remember when Keen first started, I met him at Fairfield. I feel like that first Fairfield show.
Oh, a lot of people in that show.
was just an incredible show, man. It reminded me of like, like when a you ever seen that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio when he goes to, oh yeah, that's the guy, like I feel like you look back at the episodes and you're like, wow, that dude's big time now, or that guy's this or that guy's that. I remember there's a video with my showcase. I think it was Jay. Shout out to Jake, JM Cards, local guy. That's my guy. But I remember he put me on this video and he showed the showcase and he's like, man, like my showcase upgraded 5x since then. Like that's really cool to see, like the progression of everybody, and I think that's really cool to experience that. And man, Keen is an incredible guy. Man, I'm really, really excited. And for those of you guys that have yet to start and want to do content, I've actually thought about doing a YouTube soon. I got the camera, FD, so maybe
go for it, man. You should go for it.
We should probably. I'm actually technically a YouTuber, FD. I got
I know
one.
You are.
I got one video that popped off. Yeah. So I think it's at like almost 10,000 views. So I'm really proud of that one video, but I kind of just want to be like Mace and have like a couple good hits and then like call it a career,
That is what Mace did.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But yeah, man, maybe I'll do the YouTube stuff, and we'll see. But dude, shouts out to those of you guys that are content creators, man. Make no mistake, I'm gonna speak for Burbank, man. We love everybody that does content, man, and especially in Newport. I told the guys, hey, look, let's bring media passes for all the guys. And, let's make sure these guys are taken care of, because guess what? You guys are spreading the word about Burbank. You guys are spreading the word about Newport. You guys are spreading the word about Dynasty Mode. I think it's I think it's a double-edged sword when you're talking about content creating, because you're putting yourself out there. The multiple times that I've been recognized because of a Mojo video or a Roth video or things like that, it has been nothing short of incredible. So man, I really do appreciate all of y'all that are content creators, and I think that's a really cool thing to see. So for those of you guys that are content creators that are on the come up, man, let me know, man. Especially those of you that are planning to go to Burbank and are coming from like New York, Florida, this and that. Let me know and I'll do whatever I can to make sure I take care of you.
Very good, very good. Anything else you want to say in closing? You want to share with the people?
Consistency. Definitely being consistent is definitely the biggest word. I'd like to say in the volume of success, man. I've seen guys like Tim Prevail Cards, Boosted, and all those guys that have just been consistent and have leveled up. And I think the value of consistency comes with taking chances. And Dwayne Wade, falls 7 times, get up 8, that type of thing. The value. I remember you asked me about being a vendor for the first time, taking the chances this year, invest in players that may not be currently that guy, right? But will be that guy. And most of my biggest wins that I look back at are the biggest gambles that I took. I remember I took a very strong gamble on Ultimate Collections Jordan Auto in December, which, even blows my mind that I owned a Jordan Ultimate Collections BGS 9.510 auto. But the auto was a little faded. And I got a lot of heat for that from folks. They're like, why did you buy that? It was faded. Well, guess what? It's still a Michael Jordan autograph.
That's right.
Right? It's still a Jordan autograph. Now, the owners that had it beforehand probably just didn't take care of it well. And I was more than happy to own that card, man. And about 4 weeks later, I took a gamble. I didn't even think Burbank was able to sell that card. I think they were able to flip it to somebody else, and then we ended up moving it all over Southern California. I ended up moving it to a good buddy of mine, Tommy, who's a national buyer, big time guy in the industry, and he ended up buying it for I think we actually traded it for a Flair Jordan, which was my first Flair Jordan, and in turn it became a very, very profitable business move for me to own that card. So take those chances, guys. I'm not saying gamble everything that you have, but definitely take chances. Strategic gambles.
Got to have a strategy.
Yes, strategy, and being able to use. And I think the biggest thing, the biggest thing is education. I remember back in the day, and Sasha gets a lot of flack for this, and not a lot of people, people have different opinions about everybody. But I remember early on when I used to watch Sasha's videos, I remember he used to say education, and I remember hearing that. I was like, man, for a 22-year-old kid, or I'm sorry, I think he was like 20 at the time, for a 21-year-old kid to say education, education, education is learning, learning and understanding the value of sets, learning and understanding that, a Luka Prism, it doesn't just stop at a LaMelo Prism Silver. The education and the value of sports cards and the value of being able to look into parallels. And I'm not the most perfect guy, man. Panini got a million parallels, so I can't
now.
Green velocity, high ho, gold, flip star blue, Candy King, rolling with FD purple. We got the G camera exclusive variation set. There's so much different variations. But man, the education is real. Being able to realize, look, man, and it's not just the education of a certain card or a certain series, but the education of business, the education of valuing the value of negotiation, the value of strategy, the value of networking. I think I'll just leave it with that. It's just that is it, and an opportunity. Opportunity meets preparation. Being able to take those gambles and chances, and being able to take those opportunities that may not seem very lucrative. But man, I remember. If it wasn't for Newport being the success that it is, I definitely wouldn't have been asked to be a part of the Burbank Card Show. So, man, I don't take that lightly. I don't take that opportunity lightly. And FD, man, I almost didn't do it. Bro. And
I'm glad you did.
And yeah, man. So I'm really proud.
We walked in and saw the show. We found you.
Yeah.
Because we just wanted to let you know, man, this is what you're doing is special.
Man, thank you so much, bro. Thank you. And for those of you guys that are tuned in and are watching, in the later times, man, thank you guys for supporting and thank you for supporting the hobby. That's the biggest thing is we're all in this together, man. I mean, there's no real enemies in this. We're all in this together. Yeah, we got gripes and we got different beefs with everybody and things like that. Make no mistake. If you got beef with me, I'm gonna say this in person. We're gonna do it in person. We ain't doing this on Instagram or internet. This is in person. So but I'll say this, man, is we're all on one team. This is our hobby. This is our industry. Anybody that does any shady stuff, this that, man, should be called out on, and we should be as a team. And I love that, man. I love when sadly people do lose cards, and there's cards that are misplaced, and guess what, there's people that put it on Instagram and be like, hey, look out for this card, oh right, and then they get reposted. Man, that's so much love, man. And I've been a part of different industries, and I will say this, man, there's no better cooperation as the sports card hobby.
So now, before we get out of here, this is the last question, and I'm actually interested. Brendan says, "Yeah, I see EJ has wrestling figurines behind."
Oh man, Brendan. Let me say this, guys. Sports cards is one thing. Wrestling is another thing for me. I've been a wrestling nut since I was 6 years old. I came from the Philippines to America when I was 5 years old. And I remember as a kid, my mom, we didn't get to talk about my mom like this, but I don't give my mom enough credit. My mom was a single mom of 4 kids.
Go ahead, talk about it, because I want to hear.
My mom was she was a hustler. I love my pops, man, but my pops was not a businessman. My mom was, and my mom was a hustler. I look like my pops, but 99% of me is my mom. And my mom is everything when it comes to my hustle, my grind, my networking is my pops. My pops knows everybody, but my mom was everything from the grind, the 100 hours a week of working and being able to, by any means I will get it done. By any means I will provide for my family, no matter what I will make. Man, my mom's a G, man. My mom's almost, my mom's, she's up there, man. But my mom is still on her second career. She's working out here in Vegas and in a very lucrative industry. And man, she finessed the mess out of that role. But anyways, going back to my mom hated me watching wrestling. My mom hated it. My mom hated it. I think my mom thought it was real, so my mom saw the chair shots, and my mom had 2 jobs, and my mom had worked overnight at Sanyo Corporation. Now, for those of you guys don't know Sanyo Corporations, we a little bit past in time, FD, but But man, during those overnights, of course, I tune in to Monday Night Raw, and of course,
There you
you tune in the what's that, the back button,
go.
and of course, Monday Night Nitro was going on. Here's a little. I'll throw it if we got some time. If I'll
We got
throw
some
in
time. Go
little
for it.
snippet. I
Go
don't know if I can reverse this real quick, but okay, here we go. But here we go. Right here, we got the Ultimate Collections, and then we got the '80s joints. You
Yeah.
know, and then we got the, I think, what is this? This is just some miscellaneous stuff. And then on the other side, we got WCW, we got 90s, and then we got all that. And of course, my wrestling card game has been blowing up. Shouts out to Merlin. You know, I've been seeing Merlin on the grind, and then
Yeah, Merlin's on it, man.
my boys from SAC Card Pros and man, all the homies out there that are doing big things, man. They, you know, wrestling is an up and coming space. Definitely the Roman Reigns rookie superfractor auto just ended at $14,000, I believe. So wrestling cards are getting up there, man. And but I've been in wrestling. I've been in wrestling since I can remember, man. I remember my mom basically told me that, look, if I quit watching wrestling, she'll buy me an Xbox 360. And I remember I was like, all right, cool, bet. And of course, man, on the weekends I'd be with my pops. And you know, my pops don't care. You know, if anything, my pops enjoyed it. So of course I was watching on the weekends.
I was watching with you, wasn't
Yeah, my pops was watching with me. So I was like, man, let's go. You know, so of course, you know, I'm dating myself here, FD. But you know, we didn't have the DVR back then. Back then, TiVo was expensive. Remember TiVo? That joint was expensive. So you know, I had to use a VCR recording. I had to put the VCR in, record that joint, and then you know, by the time I get to my pop's house, I take the record, and then I take it to my pop's house. I'd watch it, you know, and man, back in the day of AOL, I would read the dirt sheets of, you know, you know, so and so's gonna make his debut. Dude, I'm a big wrestling nut, man, and for those of you guys that see me, man, we can talk about wrestling all day, and till this day, I watch it. You know, I watch AEW, I watch you know, I watch a little bit of the WWE stuff, you know, and actually last year I had the opportunity to sit front row at SummerSlam. So that was an incredible experience. We'll be at WrestleMania soon in the front row. I just got to make sure I get my money right, and we'll be there.
All right. Well, brother, I appreciate having you. I've learned a lot about you today in many different aspects. The last question I wanted to hit you with was what was behind you. But I can't wait to hang out with you a little bit when these shows come up. Get to know you a little bit more. But I appreciate your time and appreciate having you here. It's been special.
Yeah, man. So, hey, guys, thank you so much. For those of you that are looking to reach out to me, Dynasty Mode on Instagram. I'm not Burbank Card Show on Instagram as well. I do control that Instagram. I'm not going to answer anything regarding vendors and things like that just yet. But if you want some direct connotation of being a vendor to the show or being invited to the show as a vendor, EJ at BurbankCardShow.com. But man, shouts out to FD. Yo, my God, man. Every time I see you, bro, I already know it's all love. Man, I had a good talk about you with my man Sean. Big homie Sean, man. TGI Sean, man. That's my dude. I've known Sean for almost 15 years, man. And being able to share this hobby with guys.
Sean and I have connected. We talk all the time. I really appreciate him. I remember the first day I saw him was at the Tarzana show. And he was with Coleman Cards. And we have just bonded since then. I got number love for Sean.
Yeah, no, Sean's for those of you guys that know, Sean's like a real Street Fighter character. Yeah. He's about 6'4", you know, all muscle, 330. You know, this guy definitely could have been you know, probably a lineman, FD. What do you think?
Yeah, he could have been a lineman. The first time I met him and we put it in the show, I was messing with him and I asked
Bengals probably could have used him in the Super Bowl, bro. The Bengals probably could have used him, man. Joe Shiesty probably wouldn't have got the MCL. But yeah, man, being able to experience that with friends of mine from past and being able to experience this hobby. And man, shouts out to everybody, man, that's watching. Again, thank you so much for the love. FD, thank you so much for what you do for this hobby. We really do appreciate it. And that's for me and everybody at Dynasty Mode, Newport Showcase, and the Burbank Card Show. So we're really, really happy. Thank you for having me, man. And I'm really, really excited. But I'm also really excited to enjoy this time with my wife. And because she's probably going to kick my ass if I
let her know the FD and family. We appreciate the time that
I'll let her know, brother. I'll let her know. So
and then we'll get together in the future, man. Yeah, we
Give
get
me a
together
few
and fix
days,
up
man,
coffee.
to let me check my comps as a happy married man. My comps are pretty
That's
low right
Check your
now,
accounts, brother.
so I got to get them back up, guys. So yeah,
All right,
man.
man.
So tune in.
Thank you very
guys
much.
Take care. FD, man. I'll see you. I'll see you at Premiere, right? I'll see you at Premiere.
Yeah, we'll do a premiere
Okay.
on Saturday. I'll see you
I'll
Saturday.
see you on Saturday, brother.
Talk
Appreciate
to you,
you.
brother. Bye bye.
Peace.